Cool. I think we must be live. Let me check that on X.
Yeah, it's not showing up yet, so waiting.
Oh, it's showing now. Yep.
Okay.
Um, you should be pinged as well on X.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, I was second.
What?
Nimesh beat me again.
Oh, really?
Somehow.
Um, let me find that.
Right, there we go. I just pinged my community as well.
Perfect. Perfect. All right.
Just gonna retweet on Twitter as well.
Yep. I just did that as well. Let's see if we can break our record today. Yesterday we had like maybe 1,200 people.
Wait.
Yeah, the week before that it was 1,100. So maybe today we can reach maybe 1,300. We'll see about
No
that.
pressure at all. No pressure.
Yeah, I
At all.
know. Whoops.
Whoops.
um. All right, let's give a few more minutes and wait for people to join in. By the way, TMA, did you know we had this lo-fi stream?
I actually did it and I love it. I'm usually on EDM, house, chill house music and stuff. So this is literally all I listen to, especially when I'm
Good.
working. Like usually I vibe with like jazz house or like
Yep.
lo-fi music. So it's literally what I do in the background just because I can't have it. I can't have like music, while I work. So.
Oh, mate. Well, now you have a new favorite channel on YouTube, I suppose.
Yes.
You can listen to this really cool lo-fi music, and honestly, the animation that Cole created. Yeah, like you can even see his Pudgy Penguin in the background, right?
I see it. Yes.
Yep. So cool. So good. But yeah. Let's just wait a few more minutes, maybe one more, and then we can start.
No worry though.
Nice.
Someone was telling me my voice was rocking. Is it better now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Like it's all good, bro.
Perfect.
Yep. All right, Cole, do you wanna switch to your incredible work?
Sir.
Let's do it, and then
I'm so hyped for this.
And then you know what? This is funny though, because first we get to listen like this beautiful lo-fi music from the Plooshies, right? And then because we're using Restream for this, then we transition to the shitty AI music that these guys have. But and you'll see the difference, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just put it in like super low, so yeah, people can hear us. But yeah, alrighty, cool. Well, we almost have 300 people in just 5 minutes. But yeah, let's start this CMA. Let's start this call as well. First of all, thank you guys for tuning in. As you guys know, we usually do our live streams every Wednesday. But considering it's New Year, Happy New Year to everyone, we're gonna be doing 2 live streams per week. You know that if you tune in yesterday, we had Marianne with us, and today I'm so excited to bring another friend of ours, TMA. Um, this man, I think he really doesn't need any proper introduction. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys know who TMA is. But yeah, happy to have you here, TMA. Happy to have you guys from the Fincari community and everyone who's interested in the Plooshies, abstract, etc. So, without further ado, GM TMA, welcome to a
Thank you.
Plooshies live stream.
Thank you
We're
so much, man.
so happy to have you with us. Yeah, hello, sir.
Thank you,
Yeah, how
man.
are you?
Thank you for the warm welcome, first of all. I really appreciate it. And like all the love and respect that you guys have always given me, right? Like I'm glad to be here. Most of all, I'm excited about my own custom plushies, you know? It's gonna be freaking amazing. I've wanted
I
one of these for a while now, actually. So
Dude, I know. I feel like, to be fair, like I always say this, that people tune in, I reckon, mostly to see Coles create, magic out of nowhere, right? Like they can hear me yapping all the time. The community knows me anyways. And then we have obviously the guests, right? The special guests. But I will always say that maybe people are just tuning in because they want to see, create, Cole creating something out of nowhere, like something pretty fucking epic. Pardon my French, but you guys know me. This is how I am.
it's actually sick, right? Like, and I feel like not a lot of people do this enough and really
Mm,
showcase what the project builds, like the artists behind the scenes. Because often
yep.
we look at project visuals, like the animations coming out, the videos coming out, and you don't realize how much work actually goes behind the scenes to building these, right? And that's part of the problem, is that as a space we've just gotten so accustomed to just seeing the final product and not really seeing the process of how it actually gets there. Like it just creates this extra layer of appreciation for everyone, because they realize it doesn't like just happen overnight, right? Like you have to be, first of
Mm,
all, talented enough to be doing this, and then
yeah.
even by building it, it's actually a process, right? It takes hard work and effort.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And we used to do these streams, but only on our Discord, right? We used to do this. We've been doing this for quite a while, to be honest. I would say what I reckon, cool, maybe September or 23, maybe September, October of 23.
Yeah, I think September.
Um, yeah, I don't even know how many of these we've done, but we started on our Discord, right? And then, it was usually maybe around 10, 15, 20 people joining our live stream. I would say like really like the core community. And we would just do like a raffle at the very end of the stream. We would just listen to music, chat about anything while, we watch Cole create something pretty cool. And then the community will get something as well, right? Like you can see that Cole can create pretty much everything, and he would create
Yeah.
like a custom plushie for them. Like I remember, like the first one that I remember, we did it. Very good friend of ours. He goes by 80. He's a choppy corn. That was the first one we did. And then we continue to do many more, integrating. It was our idea of plushifying the space, like putting a plushie with traits from other collections or even from other IPs, right? Like Cole has been doing other stuff, like including this one in particular from Rob. Shout out to Rob, by the way. He's helping us with our social fight tickets. Um, Something with Harry Potter. So that plushie is really really cool. And then one of our community members, actually a whale in our community, he was like, "Guys, why don't you bring this to Twitter, X or whatever, and YouTube? Like, what you guys are doing is pretty epic. People should know how hard it is, like you were mentioning, right? Like,
That's it, and I think people.
watching the process, and it was like, dude, I mean, yes, absolutely, yes. So we took his feedback, and then it took a little bit of weeks to kind of find ways on how people were doing live streams on X and how we can introduce that as well. And then, yeah, now here we are. Yeah, so it's pretty epic, like honestly. And then as well, people get to see the people who are behind the Plooshies, right, behind the project, front facing
Yes.
team, founders, etc. And I think that helps a lot as well, because people can, like I always say this, but like Liam from Unfungible always talking about, the founders funnel, and now that people can get to see me, get to see Cole, every now and then when Victor is available because he's traveling all over the world, then he can join as well. People, anyways, know Victor,
No, makes
but
sense.
yeah, dude, it's just I love that. Honestly, it's kind of like one of the highlights of the week. I love spaces. Don't get me wrong, but I think these live streams are so much
No, I
better.
think it's Spaces has its own merits, right? Like at the end of the day, it's a source of information. But as I
Yep.
said, it's the creative process that people get to see Cole doing what he does, right? Like that's also
Yep.
something. Like for me, that's just visually satisfying, right? Like just sitting down and just
Yep.
watching him do what he's doing, right? Like I like just sitting down and doing that. So
Yep.
I appreciate you guys taking the step because it also should be on Twitter, right? Like the people don't use that platform enough because we as NFT natives literally live on either Discord or Twitter, right? That's
Yep.
always been the case from day one. That hasn't changed in the past 3.5 years. Even though, despite TG and I know all the hype around it, but just
Mm.
using your social media platforms well is something that NFT projects need to do a lot more, right? Like, there's so much
Yep.
you can do as a team from marketing wise to just the online creation of this process as well. But like, I'm excited about what you guys are building on Abstract too, right? Like that's something that new altogether.
Yeah, nah, thank you, and I truly appreciate that. But before we move into the abstract side of things and maybe talk a little bit about the plushies, I really want to get to know you, right? Like I think people who've been following you for a very long time, right? Like this guy who's very good at trading NFTs, who has his own project as well, who's built his community, bringing alpha and educating them about the space, etc. Like yeah, like who is TMA? How did you yeah, what is Web3 for you? Like how did you enter the space, this industry? Like what was going happening before that?
It's so funny because I've been trading crypto ever since it was 2013. So I was one of the few people who bought Ethereum
Wow.
for $100. I sold it for a $20 profit to buy weed because I was in university back
Yeah.
then. But
Yeah, I mean, we all understand, uni struggles and just eating
yes,
ramen and and drinking
100%. It was
water.
student life, right? Like, so I was like,
Yes.
wow, 20
Yeah.
bucks in like a few weeks, I'll take that shit because I was gonna run, you know?
100%.
Little did I know that this will be where it is. But back in 2021, when I saw CryptoPunks Basie
Yeah.
doing really well, I naturally got attracted to the NFT space and not just the crypto side of things, and
Right.
started with just $1,000 in my pocket. Actually, believe it or not, that was all I had. uh, got rugged a few times before I
Mm.
ended up realizing that I need to have a better understanding of how the space works. So I joined an alpha group, right? That was my first introduction to how trading works.
Yep.
Naturally, I always had this thirst for knowledge. Just as a person, I've always been really interested in learning new things. DeFi is something that has always interested me. I've always felt like that's something that will be here to stay, right? Naturally,
Mm.
I became a moderator there just because of how often I was there and how much I was contributing to the group. Eventually, I became a collab manager. That's when I started really doing
Wow.
more research, understanding what
Okay.
the projects are building, connecting with builders, teams behind the scenes,
Mm.
helping create connections at the same time. And that's where I really started to soak in knowledge, understanding how the background works, how everything is being built. And then it just fell into place naturally. As I was doing that, I started calling out projects that were early that I thought had a lot of
Mm.
potential, and then that worked as well in my favor. God has
Yep.
blessed me throughout this whole process. Can't thank it enough. But my because my early calls were doing so good, people were making a shit ton of money.
Yep. Yep.
Naturally, I started alpha calling, and that was the past. That's it. Eventually, I just reached a point where I realized that people were just calling shit and people were blindly aping it, right? And I hated that about the space because
Mm.
that's the problem I faced first and got rug pulled so many times where I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I need to change something. I need to create something of my own where that's not the case, right? And Funkari, the idea of Funkari was born, um, and we created Funkari alongside a tattoo artist based out of South Asia. So we know him from back
Oh
home. I have
wow.
the connections to him.
When
He's
when was this, by the way? Sorry for interrupting you. When did
so
you started creating Fun Carry as this new group and all this stuff?
So
Because it's
Funkari was start of 2022. We've been
okay.
around for over 3 years now, actively trading. We
Yep.
traded as a free group for about 11 months. During those 11 months, Funkari art was being built. Each of these pieces are handmade, so they're custom drawn by
Wow.
the artist, colored, everything from scratch. Nothing is generative art. Um, and naturally, at the same time, I was building Funkari with the vision I had in mind, right? Like really educating people, uh,
Mm,
encouraging them to do more research, like, and living up to my ethos of, like, collaboration over competition, like
yep.
trying to build meaningful collections with uh, builders. One of the biggest misconception about alpha groups is that they're net negative. They
Mm,
join in and they freaking pump and dump shit. They're in there for flippers. And my motivation around Funkari was that even though we're viewed as a trading group, we would go beyond that stigma of an alpha group and really be seen
right.
as supporters of NFTs. And that's why everything I've done since that day forward has been around that. Built a lot of connections with some amazing founders in this space, made a lot of amazing friends who've been building in the space, and then naturally just did my part, right? Trying to help out communities, trying to help out
Yep.
projects with wherever I can give them advice, wherever I can give them support. 3 years later, we're here. Funkari
Mm.
again is a 200 collection. We're sitting at a 1.4 ETH floor, if I'm not wrong.
Damn, fucking good on you guys. Nice.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good 7x from what our mint price was 2 point, like 2 years ago. And
Wow.
just to tell you, like, we have 15 short callers in the group who basically call anything from ordinals to
Yep.
ETH to Sol to leverage trading to macro analysis to sports betting to leverage trading. We have it all.
So
We
you cover pretty much everything.
we're
Nice.
pretty much everything, as opposed to that idea that we're an NFT centric group, right? In
Mm.
addition to that, we're giving our holders investment opportunities because a lot of
Yep.
people don't know, but we're actually a registered LLC. So we're
Oh
a
shit.
limited liability company and we're
Yep.
registered as a DAO. So technically, all of the holders are technically part owners of Fankari, right? And no one knows about this, but
Wow.
it's it's
Yeah.
it's a little hidden gem secret that we have within the community.
Yeah, I
We
suppose that's a little bit of alpha for people who didn't know or who weren't that familiar with your ecosystem. That's super sick, mate. Like honestly.
100%. And then we have a collab network. You already aware of
Mm.
it. We
Yep.
have over 200 collab scouts in our network. So pretty much anything that touches the space right now, as far as a new mint is concerned, we
Yep.
get access to it. Also, that's again because of the connections we built over the time. But yeah, that's just about me and Funkari a little bit.
I think one thing that I get from this is when you were mentioning that most of the alpha groups, people tend to think, or even projects themselves as well, right? Especially pre-mint, and then you get a bunch of DMs, tickets, etc., from alpha groups and DAOs, and you don't really know much about them, other than thinking this sort of negative connotation with an alpha group, which is always going to be, not always, but most of the times, that it's a net negative thing for the space because they will be like pumping and dumping and stuff. But I feel like the way that you did it, right? Because you pretty much started from, like most of the people that I know in the space that are joining projects or communities, starting from the very bottom in a way, like being from a moderator, from a collab manager, community manager, etc., and then building your presence, right? And then showing that you can educate people and that your calls are actually legit and that the community actually trusts someone like you, right? Because you've been doing that for quite a while and you're not here just for the wrong reasons. Like, yeah, like everyone loves to make money. Of course, that's one of the many incentives that we have in our industry. But done in a right way, I feel like that's when people, are like, nah, TMA is a legit guy. His group is also pretty legit. compared to like, without naming anyone else up, but sometimes you get that, right? Especially when there's
100%,
a
man.
bit
I think that's
a bit of
also one of
fight.
the reasons why
Mm,
it's always been an issue, right? Like I think like there, it's not for no reason, right? Like I assure there are those bad apples in the group that have done
yeah.
things to deserve this name, right? But at the end of the day, I think like just your hard work and persistence, as long as you do that, you can change that idea, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%, right? Because I even remember back in like late 21, early 22, kind of like this collab manager cabal that they were trading, widely spots, right? Or they were selling them. Um, and then you were like, because as well, like you, when I entered the space in mid 2021, I would say,
Yeah.
um, it was kind of following the same route that you did, right? From a moderator, collab manager, community manager, and then
Hmm.
you kind of like when you're in those trenches, then you get to see a bunch of stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And like you said, there's always gonna be like bad apples and stuff, and some even then they will create their own groups that started from one in particular, and then they will start doing other kind of shady stuff or whatever. But like in your case, like
That's it. I think you just need to be that leader within this space, right? Like I
yeah.
can continue with that mindset that like, hey, Fankari is only 200. Like I just want to go out and benefit my own holders. I'll just take
Mm,
care of them. It's incredibly easy for me to do that. I don't need to go out and help anyone else, but that perception is something I've always wanted to change. I thought we can do
mm,
so much more, even though we're only a group of 200. I think the impact that we can have is a lot stronger because we're just so
yep.
tight as a community. Our core is so strong. We stay share the same beliefs, right? Like so,
Mm,
that's also where I'm blessed because like through 3 years of up and down within Funkari, right? Like we've had some members join some members. I think we're finally at a spot where we have such an amazing group of people who just come together. They want to win together. They're also contributing to the space. We have like founders within our network, right? Like holder group. We have
yep.
advisors. We have marketing agencies, like people who run their own stuff. We have traders. We have OGs. Like so, like it's just such a group of people who just come together.
Mm,
They all share that same ethos, right? Like they want to come in.
right.
They believe in the space. They want to make a difference. So that's all it's about.
Wait, sorry. Oh, there we go.
No worries.
Yeah, nah, dude, I couldn't agree more with you with that, right? Because once you have that, because the other thing, right? Yes, like winning, and everyone should be winning, but when you have that sense of family and togetherness, where you can just, whether that be on Telegram or Discord, or with your close group of friends, that all of them are winning or even losing sometimes, uh, you create those connections, right? And I
you
think,
you make it fun, right? At the end of the
yeah,
day, look, we're winning and we're losing together. And at the end of the day, like when I think people are short-sighted in this space sometimes, and
mm,
I
what
completely
do you mean by
understand that
that?
it's such a PvP space where people just think
Mm,
they need to necessarily compete with someone in order to get something, right? Like that idea of collaboration within the space, especially within the alpha groups, is
mm,
just hasn't been there for the past 3 years. Still is getting to a point where it's starting to get there, but we're still, I feel like, a ways ahead. But
okay.
having said that, I think like just working together, there's strength in that, right? Like you can, if you
Mm,
think of all of these people who are doing so good within the space, right? Like they're actually making impact, but they're only making an impact within that small sector of people that are within their group, right? Right? They
yeah.
think about them, and that's all. And that's the mindset we need to get out of, right? Like the more the space will do in general, the more you'll benefit as a whole as well, right? Like if someone else is winning, it could be potential catalyst for eventually you winning in the future as well.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've seen recently, right? With obviously the great success that the Pudgy Penguins have had, and the Penguin airdrop, and obviously now Abstract, right? Because one thing that I've noticed, right, as one of the front-facing people of the Plooshies, and networking with a bunch of different builders and founders that are eventually going to launch something on Abstract. one of the key things that I feel like most of us would agree is that it is so easy to network within the abstract ecosystem, because we all want to see win, right? Like we had the very like the first big push, right, coming from Pengus, Luca, Igloo Inc. Now abstract, and all of us we just want to see abstract win, right?
Logan,
Um,
you know why that's the case? It goes back to the founder's ethos, right? That's the
mm,
culture Luca created from day one and the team. So, and props to where the community as well. One of the
100%.
most legit community in the entire fucking space. Like, the
Yeah,
number of people who are builders within that community, that's another strength, right? You have
so many. It's
so
wild.
many builders, bro. So
Yep,
many builders. And it's not just builders within Web3, even Web2 builders who
yep,
think that the execution of Pudgy has been so well that they'll rock that brand. Right? Like,
yep.
so there's power in there if you think about it. Like, why did Pudgy succeed whereas other didn't? Is because
Mm,
Luca from day one had a clear vision in mind. He had a product roadmap in mind that he wanted to execute. He made
yep.
sure he hired the right people who shared his ethos and shared same beliefs as him. And then number four, most of all, he understood the Web3 culture. It's
Mm,
understanding that you and your brand will only get so much more powerful if your community is empowered, right?
yeah,
Like, so the
yeah.
more you empower your community, the more you encourage them to build, the more you encourage them to grow. It's naturally this circle of benefit that's going to just benefit the entire ecosystem, to the point where we now see that some of these biggest builders are actually have been long time pudgy holders as well, who are now just deciding we want to build on abstract because, hey, like, these guys have never disappointed us in the past, they're not going to start now, right?
Yeah. Nah, yeah. I mean, it's even with, the story that I tell about, Victor the Viking, right? The OG Pengu from 2021 pre Luca times, right? That the OG crypto community, because also not remember like the community that was part of the Pudgy Penguins ecosystem back in 21, there were a bunch of OG crypto native people there, right? And in that group, Victor the Viking was there, introducing a little bit of storytelling, having his own Discord channel where there were a bunch of short animation videos with the penguins and stuff, and he himself being a Pudgy Penguin since 2021 and being recognized by a lot of the OG Pengus and Luca himself. I think that really, honestly, and I'm very grateful for that community, for the Pengus, that we got a bunch of support due to that nature that they've seen him for a very, very long time doing his thing. And it trickled down to, community members, to team members as well, like including Cole himself being a Pengu. Um, so yeah, it is that, right? Like when you empower the community for them to be able to build their own stuff, I think that's pretty unique, and not that many projects have found that recipe like they did it with the Penguins. Um, but yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously because you've been in the space for quite some time. Um, Now that we're talking about abstract, right? Like obviously being supported by Iglooing, abstract, the team
Sorry,
itself.
Bogan, I'm gonna interrupt you and just say, dude, Cole, you're
Yeah, no,
bro. This look,
you're gonna call me what?
I was gonna say Cole, he's killing it. This looks
Oh, dude, yeah, dude. Feel free to interrupt me anytime because I'm well known as a yappa. So
okay,
just
it's
yeah,
okay, no worries. I
yep,
was just appreciating the whole creator process. It's something, you know what's weird? I actually used to ask Funkari artists to send me videos of him drawing the entire art, right? Like, so he
yep.
used to send me time lapses because it's something I always enjoyed seeing, right? Like, it's something that
Mm,
always intrigued me, is this art process of how the artist actually starts from scratch and gets it to the point where he wants it to be, right?
yeah, it's pretty wild. Like honestly, it's something that I wouldn't be able to do like ever. Not even if I get lessons from Cole 101. I think he would get tired of me. He would be like, "Nah, fuck you,
Cole
dude."
will quit, bro.
Like, yeah, just do your thing, man. Like, just don't, right? But
100%. I'm
yeah,
excited for that abstract launch you guys are coming out with, right? Like, it's something the entire timeline has been hyped about. So let
yeah,
me let me flip the interview back down to you, even though
yeah.
you're
Let's
the
do it.
host.
All
You're
right,
the,
cool.
you're the host, right? Right. Let's
I love
let's
that though. This is think of it. This is just two friends having a casual convo whilst we watch Cole create something pretty cool, and just back and forth. I love that.
100% exactly. So I just for people, because just like people might not know me, there's audience and people who are from my community who might not fully know about Plooshies. You want to give them a
Mm.
brief intro of what you guys have built so far, and then we can talk about the abstract piece.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the goals is we are focusing heavily on IP, right? Like building IP, building the Plooshies IP, because this is something like I'm just gonna, like small bracket. Earlier today, I had a combo with Kev from Final Bursu, right? Another project that's gonna be building an abstract. He's
I
been
love
building
Kev. I
for a
got on
very
many
long time.
calls with them.
I love him. I love Kev. He's an absolute legend, and he understands this pretty well, and that's why I resonate with him a lot in terms of how building IP, right? Like these big media franchises, and then you can leverage that to be able to build other stuff around the IP. So this is something that we envision with the Plooshies as well, where we are targeting the cuteness meta, right? Like cute IP. Like we truly believe that cuteness will always stand the test of time. Like even if you look at the top 10 brands, not in Web3 but in Web2, there's always going to be some sort of cuteness attached to that. So we knew that we could target that, and even with 3D, knowing that 3D, like going back to 2021, like I mean, there were a bunch of 3D projects that ultimately ended rugging their community, so it didn't have a good reputation, in my opinion. But we wanted to flip that. We wanted to flip that because we knew that we could rig the entire collection, which, by the way, is something that you didn't see a lot with 3D collections being launched a very long time ago. And then we were telling people, right? So who are the Plooshies? We started with a very cute animation video introducing the main characters, and we were, slowly but surely introducing bits of pieces of that story on X. And we wanted people to get familiar with the IP first, and then they were fully immersed in our website, which was, pre-min. It was this beautiful booklet where they could, read bits of pieces of the story and then click on, a page, and then they would start playing mini games. And then if they would play the mini games, and then it would be kind of like at the top of the leaderboard, they would get the opportunity to join the Discord and being able to be part of the inner circle community, or even get opportunities to get whitelist spots. We used to call them plush lists. So it was kind of like introducing storytelling, animation, mini games, and then ultimately they ended up playing on the first iteration of Plushy Island. It was very small, to be honest, but they could see where we were going. We were like, okay, this is the cute IP, and this is the stuff that we can do before we even actually launch the project, right? Um, so people truly resonated with that, and at first we were thinking this should be just be a premium experience, right, with the mini games, with Plushy Island and stuff. But we quickly realized that we were getting a bunch of daily active users and really good feedback, not just with the animations and storytelling, and having solid connections with the pengus, later on with the pandas. Shout out to both communities. But they were like, these guys are truly doing something unique, like without even launching stuff, they're already putting mini games and kind of like a browser game called Plushy Island. We see the beautiful IP, the cuteness, etc. um, it was rough, not gonna lie, because we minted in Q1 2023. So if you remember those days, people were really used to either free NFTs, or it was the open edition meta. So charging people back then, like the class of 2023 kind of tested, like people were kind of skeptical because it was the bear market, the middle of the bear market. ETH was on the 2K. We're making money on the, with open editions and free mints, etc. So if you remember, I said like, yeah, if they were
Yep,
able to play, yes,
100%.
and get the
The times
whitelist,
were tough.
yeah, the times were really tough, but we were able to get some community, some people that kind of and genuinely interested in the plushies, that got the inner circle role in our Discord, and we didn't even tell the people what that meant. But ultimately, we told them, "Hey, you're part of our inner circle, and that's a very big deal because you're meant to be our core community. We see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, and we're gonna give you one plushie for free, which is the inner circle plushies." The collection is 3,333, and 333 are just inner circle plushies. We didn't tell them like the perks or anything. We were just like, let's make sure that you are the core community. We're gonna give this NFT for free, but it's gonna be locked for 6 weeks. Because if you, I mean, you're meant to be the core community, you wouldn't really want to flip the NFT and just wait for the stuff that we're gonna continue to deliver. It was obviously rough because I mean, you can't be 100% right when choosing and selecting this group of people, right? Um, so it was rough, and then we gave those for free. Then we decided on a mean price of 0.12 ETH back then, and obviously the people were like, "Nah, that's way too expensive," blah blah blah. So we needed to pivot real quick. But some of the people who were supporting us during that phase when we were minting at 0.12 ETH, most of them were from the Pudgy Penguins community and from the Campe Pandas community. Um, so they were supporting us. We minted. It was very slow. Then people stopped minting, etc. So we pivoted and we reduced the mint price from 0.12 to 0.038. And I think that's when people were like, huh, okay, 0.038. I think I'm happy paying that. And then we sold out literally in minutes. And the people who supported us at 0.12, we were like, well, you supported us at 0.12 and we reduced the mean price at 0.03. So we're going to give you 3 free plushies for that because, you're entitled to that because you were supporting us during really, really harsh times. Like those 24 to 36 hours were like, oof, like this is going to be tough because even this is something that people don't really talk about much though. But when projects decide on a mean price, they don't really put like a random number just because on especially the ones that are doing the right things and building for the right things. They're taking into account how much money it's going to be raised, how much money is going to be gone due to taxes, and how much money is going to be left to continue developing the products that you've already introduced and that you want to make them better, right? So we knew that when we already gave 333, and then we even ended up giving way more. We reduced the mean price. So we knew that the money that we were going to raise wasn't going to be that much to be able to accelerate the products that we were planning to deliver. But the community understood that when we were like, okay, it's time, we sold out, we reduced at 0.03, and then we were focusing a lot on experiences and storytelling and people getting familiar with the IP, right? We really wanted people to get familiar with the characters, with the main characters, introducing new stuff on X. I think we did maybe like 2 or 3 seasons of different stories on X that people were very
That's
excited.
great, man.
And in the meantime, we were like, okay, now that we have a limited amount of resources, we understand that people want to see a better version of Plushie Island. So most of those funds were allocated to building the game from scratch. Um, and it takes a lot of time, right? Like obviously we would have raised way more money, like multiple other projects that maybe some of them are not even with us today. We would have been able to deliver way quicker. um, but this is where we were, like people were supporting us. Obviously there were a bunch of ups and downs in terms of floor price, blah blah blah. But the community were understanding. We were always very transparent with the stuff that we were doing, that we were building. We were introducing a few MVPs here and there because we understood that hyper casual gaming is something very, very important in the industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? So we
100%.
wanted to,
So
so we
Bogan, before we get into it much deeper than that, I guess, right?
yeah,
And do you want to tell us about what you guys are doing on Abstract now, right? Like, so what's
yeah,
coming next for Plooshies, and what's the direction? What are you guys building on Abstract? Where does that put the main collection? How does that tie in? So we'd love to know.
yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, the main collection, we know that ETH L1 is the place for legacy collections, right? We hope that there will come a time that the Plooshies will be acknowledged as a legacy collection, right? Like most of those big projects from 2021, aka the Pudgy Penguins. Um, and what we want to bring to Abstract, and when we got that DM from Luca that we should be building on Abstract, being the first project announced on Abstract, is because we, like I said, we were working on developing the new version of Plushie Island, and because it's a crypto native game, right, with blockchain elements, we knew that couldn't do that on ETH L1, considering that we were bullish on it, that the price was gonna go up, gas fees were gonna go up as well. We were looking for an L2 with pretty much free gas, right? Like free, pretty much quote unquote free transactions and stuff. So what we want to bring to Abstract, we want to bring the experience of Plushy Island, the game that we've been developing since September of 2023, September, October of 2023. We want to bring that. We want to bring the upcoming NFT collections, which are going to be houses, 10 mansion, it's 444 houses from large and medium sized, 10 mansions, and 4,000 apartments. These apartments and houses are going to be very important for the game mechanics on Plushy Island, because the TLDR of Plushy Island is, think of it as of Sims in terms of gaming mechanics, and visuals and feel of Animal Crossing. So that's what we envision for Plushy Island, and being this big community hub, big fun hub for everyone, not just for Plushy holders, but for literally everyone, because it's going to be a free to play game where if you don't own a Plushy, you will be able to play the game as well. And you're going to be able to go on different quests, get quests from, the one of the characters called Plushy Sensei, as well from AI driven NPCs. I guess now it's the AI agent thingy, but that's something that we did even in 2023. Um, they're also going to be able to play mini games at the arcade building. There's going to be, and then the houses, right? The houses that we're bringing. The houses are way more important because if people have watched the in-game trailer, there's going to be crystals underneath these houses. And these crystals are important because you will have the opportunity to mine them. Obviously, if you're a homeowner, those are your crystals. You can mine them for free. But if people don't own these houses and they don't have access to the crystals, they can always go to the marketplace on Plushy Island, buy pickaxes from different rarities. Depending on the rarity, you will be able to mine more crystals, or actually, be quite, accurate at mining this stuff. And then you can get these crystals, and you have two options. If you are not a Plushy holder, then pretty much your only option is that you will get more Plushy points, right? And then Plushy points ultimately will be able to be bridged to the upcoming gaming token called Cuddle. But if you are a Plushy holder, and the Plushy holders know this, they've been soft staking their Plushies for a very long time, so they're yielding daily Plushy points, depending on rarity and depending on the amount of time they've been holding the Plushies. But the people who are familiar with the website and with the user interface, etc., they know that there's another multiplier that hasn't been truly activated, and that's going to be activated by mining those crystals and leveling up your plushie. So if you level up your plushie, you get extra multipliers on that soft staking platform, and then you're going to be able to yield more daily plushie points. So that's why these houses are important. And also because a while ago we took different snapshots. The first one was for the top 10 holders because they were entitled to mansions. We've shown those mansions, we've shown those visuals, and we took that snapshot a very long time ago because we asked them, like, how do you envision your mansion on Plushy Island? Give us your feedback. And then Cole, he created those mansions for them.
That's
We
sick,
took,
man.
so we took,
That's a lot of work, right? Like I think people.
it's a lot of work. Like,
That's what I was telling earlier as well. Is that people don't realize how much work actually goes behind the scenes when you're actually delivering on a project, right? Like so,
yeah,
they
dude.
just think of like, hey, like end product, this is what it looks like. I'm just gonna make a 5 minute comment and like act like a keyboard warrior and say my own pieces. But then you look back and you're like, hey, like there's so many moving elements to delivering to and getting to what you wanted to get to, right? Plushies
Yeah,
is today 0.66 floor. You guys doing great. Sorry if I'm
thank you.
saying
Now, feel
wrong.
free to interrupt me at
Yeah.
any time, though.
Yeah, but point being, like it takes time, right? Rome wasn't built
Yeah,
in
it
a
takes a
day.
lot of time. Yeah.
You have to let builders build, and especially with IP projects, most of all, it takes more time than
Mm,
delivering a tool product, because when you're delivering a tool, when you're delivering a website, sorry, like any type of a protocol. You can put a definite number to it, like this is the delivery date. Once the product's out, we're only going to be working on improving the product, right? Like, but for an IP, there's a lot more work, a lot more complexity that goes into creating brand awareness, spreading the right message, making sure you're also not only getting the right audiences, but then that audience is growing over time for you, right? And it
Yeah,
doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while.
overnight. Yeah, yeah. It's ongoing work, right? Like I mentioned, right? Like we were focusing first on letting the people know what's the IP, who are the plushies, like for them to fall in love with the cute plushies, like how they look like, what the potential that they can see with our storytelling, with our animations, even an MVP of our first episode of a YouTube series of where we can go, right? Like going back to when I was mentioning, like when I had this combo with Kev, like how we envision as well, how he envisions as well his IP, his brand, with where if the brand is recognizable enough and it has that mind share and that the brand awareness is there, then you can leverage a bunch of stuff that perhaps you can't provide as a team, but then you can navigate to, I can bring games, right? I'm not a gaming studio, but I know that people will be interested where I can license my IP so they can build the game, then toys, merch, you name it, right? A series as well, whether that be on Netflix. We all want to be on Netflix somehow. We want to be successful on YouTube. We can leverage that, and we see that with the plushies. But one of the things that we are focusing at the moment is we know that with Plushie Island we can bring that awareness, especially thanks to abstract, right? Because if people have been paying attention to this consumer crypto narrative and how they envision abstract, like this fun hub, this community hub, like this big app store where a lot of these projects will be highlighted, where you will be able to interact with their products, with their games, with whatever people are building. Um, it's a big window for us, and it's a great opportunity for us. That's why once we release Plushy Island, we want to make it right. Um, we just want to people experience Plushy Island and have fun, and not just and have fun with their friends, with the family, playing Plushy Island, going to the marketplace, placing furniture on their houses, going on quests, playing mini games, and obviously it's kind of finding that perfect balance of a very fun and kind of addictive game loop. But also have fun with your friends, right? Like I will go probably to your house, TMA, and check it out and see, like, hey, what's up? Let's go and play some games or go on some quests. um
That
hey,
sounds so cool, man.
let's-
And
yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say it takes time to build a game as well, right? Like, so I'm excited to see how that turns out, that whole environment. I always love, like, I'm not like a huge gamer, well I used to be at some point when I
Mm.
was in university, but somehow I don't get enough time to do that anymore. So I'll still play game, and my games are limited to Call of Duty. Uh, but
Okay.
I always try to, like, try Web3 games because I'm always intrigued and I want to see how the games are doing. But
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to be trying the Plooshies game out to see how that turns out. By the way, Cole, this looks freaking fire, man.
I know, dude. It's so fucking epic. But yeah, like we're just focusing on, hey, let's just build something that people will enjoy, that people will have fun, right? And then they will discover that there are crypto and blockchain elements, right? Like it's not like I mean, yes, we're targeting people who will be trading the token and maybe bridging back and forth, but mainly it's just for people to have fun, enjoy the game. And even when we were, planning the whole game, like Plushy Island, the vision for that is massive. Like even Cole can attest to that because he was also part of the 3D team creating a bunch of assets. And we came to a point where we needed to reduce the size of Plushy Island, at least the first bit that people will be able to see and play. But obviously, there will be plans to expand on that, right? Like expand the island, upcoming seasons, new stuff that can happen over there. So it's a big, big vision for what Plushy Island can be, and it's the nature of a bunch of games of these, like this, right? That they're meant to be evolving games where we are building for and with the community, where we can take their feedback, and perhaps we're going to be able to introduce features that they want to see over there, and they will also be able to interact with other IPs coming from Web3, but also from Web2, where they can interact with them first as AI-driven NPCs, but later on introduce perhaps the entire collection, where maybe a Funkari holder will be able to see themselves over there on Plushie Island, or even see you as an AI-driven NPC on Plushie Island, right? Especially now that you have a honorary Plushie. um, but yeah, stuff like that, right? Like
That
it.
sounds scary, man. Imagine, imagine TMA going rogue in the Plooshies
Oh
world.
my goodness. Shilling NFTs
Getting
or
random rugs on abstract,
can
rogue.
you imagine that? But yeah, we're very, very excited. Like, we know that abstract mainnet is literally just around the corner. I'm also very obviously excited for what we're doing, but I'm also very excited to see these other amazing products and projects that will be launched there. And obviously, because I'm having convos with the founders, the builders, etc. But I'm just very excited, and also kind of waiting to see what's going to happen post mainnet, right?
I think it's gonna be awesome, man. There's just as you can see, there's so many great projects that we're waiting for, right? Like that are going
Mm,
on Chain Heroes, Gigaverse,
yeah,
Plooshies, Ad Time Codes, like Bosu. Like I could just keep going on and on, but
yeah, yeah,
there's protocols being built, like there's applications being built, and all of that is happening in such a short amount of period of time, and
yeah.
it's just almost like this. We're waiting for these floodgates to open, and the moment we it opens, it's going to be insane, right? At the same time, like we have Abstract and then Bear Chains launching at the same time. We're
Yeah.
waiting for Monad, OpenSea's hinting stuff, right? Like so, like whatever projections we had for 2025, we need to just throw that out and into the dumpster because it's
We
about
need to aim higher.
we need to really aim higher because
Yeah.
what people need to see often and people ask me is like why did you stay out with NFTs, why did you start buying towards the bottom, and for me it's I always looked at what are the future catalysts that can potentially provide liquidity to the market, right? Like how will these market
Mm,
conditions get better, and you see all these chains launching together with so many different solid projects that are going to come
yeah.
around with it, protocols, well funded protocols, actually. I might say that, like 7 8 figures funded. Like you just need to lock in and make sure you're taking advantage of this year, because 2025 is something you didn't even think of, like you didn't think about at all, in my opinion. Like I think it'll be beyond our
Mm.
expectations.
I think so too. I think so too. Like, a few days ago, I was having a call with Zaimiri. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I do know Zai. Zai is a good friend of mine.
Zais, and I go way back with him from 2021. We got rocked by the same project a very long time ago, and yeah, sometimes we just make fun of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about this specifically, right? Like, what do we expect, like, post mainnet, right? Because I feel like a lot of people have that sort of PTSD from the L2 that released last year and how things ended up, right? But then I was telling him, like, well, you didn't really see a community, like a big, big community supporting that, because I mean, they were targeting a bunch of farmers and blah blah blah. And this really feels different, because it feels like a masterclass of how they did it, like onboarding a bunch of different communities, existing strong communities that are going to be launching products on Abstract. And even before that, they suddenly dropped another masterclass, which was the Pengu airdrop, right? Like, suddenly everyone, got injected with this, new liquidity and supporting the stuff that Looker and the Pengus have been doing, including. And I was like, well, what they've done is pretty massive. It's pretty important. Like, let's see what's going to happen with Abstract. But Abstract now is just not supported by the Pengus, right? It's supported by so many people, so many new people that enter that ecosystem via Pengu and the projects that are building on Abstract, that, like I said, have a very strong community, and so many people are just, I think, excited for that. And I think that's going to be the main difference. And also the other stuff that I find hilarious, that how they do it on Discord, when people start talking about a potential airdrop or a potential token or whatever, and then they just get flagged on Discord with a specific role. I think that's funny.
No,
How
100%. And it almost becomes this self working support system, right? Like,
yeah,
because you all want each other to win, you all want to succeed. You've
yeah.
a lot of these builders have been around for such a long time. They've been through the bear market and proved that, hey, like, we've done the work, we've persisted throughout the bear. So it's they all deserve that, right? Like, it's almost like they understand that we need to come together, we need to support each other for us to win together. And that's also thinking a little bit even bigger. Is like, we often talk about mass adoption and new people entering the NFT space, but like, there is no new entrants coming in until we have that unity, collaboration between us, right? Like, if we don't support each other, we don't create that nurturing environment where
Mm,
NFTs and builders are thriving, then why would anyone else want to look at that industry and want to come in, right?
I
Like,
agree. I agree.
there's that monetary factor, obviously, right? Like, people are coming into this space to make money, but they also want to have fun while doing that, right? Like, that was what JPEGs in 2021 was all about, right? Like, you used to trade, but like, I can tell you as a trader, and maybe that I have bias because I've always been an OG NFT trader, but
Mm.
that win when you trade NFTs versus when you win with a meme coin, it just
It
hits,
hits different. It hits.
it hits different.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, it really hits different, and I want to see that back again. Right? I feel like we've seen that, and again, every time that I'm on Spaces or live stream, I really want to shout out Scully how he kind of kickstarted this really big momentum for abstract projects, even if he minted before Abstract Mainnet going live. But I really think that that was kind of like the catalyst for people to suddenly realize, oh shit, something is actually happening here. Um, so yeah,
Makes sense. Which other projects are you hyped about, Logan, on abstract?
I'm really really excited about Bosu. I'm excited by On-Chain Heroes, kind of Sapiens. Yeah, I would say those are the ones that I'm like, okay, I'm really excited. I'm also really excited by what Dan from Moonshipverse is building because he's bringing 404s to abstract, right?
That's gonna be the first 404.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think anyone else is doing that. So I'm very excited to see how that's gonna happen. I feel like there are too many, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
and they've been building for a while as well. I don't think a lot
yeah,
of people know about apps like Sheep as well. Sad times,
yeah,
right? But they have, if I'm not wrong, over 10 million views on their Instagram
yeah.
reels,
There's
stuff like
they
that,
they're
right?
killing it on social media. Like honestly, they are, and that's how Dan tells his story how he got onboarded to building on abstract
Hmm.
because Luca found them via Instagram. Um, and that really tells you, I mean, obviously because Luca has done a very successful thing and his team on socials like Instagram and TikTok, etc. But that's how he found him, right? So I'm very excited for them. I'm also very excited for Ryui. um, yeah,
Both was one I'm super excited about. I think that one's gonna be super good as well.
yeah,
Um,
yep. So I mean there's just too many and I don't want to be like, because this is
I
recorded.
imagine we just miss people and like, hey,
Yeah, and then people
TMA is missing
my
stuff.
DMs like, or you
I just
TMA
want to say
fans
here,
do this.
if I missed any projects today, it's completely Bogan's fault. He told me only specifically to
Lol.
mention a few projects.
Yeah, I sent him a
Right?
DM before.
Send him a
These are the
DM.
projects
All
for
that dirty text you want to send, like, it's Bogan. I didn't do anything. Cole's
now.
definitely not guilty here. It's because he's making me a PFP, right? Like,
Look at that, dude. By the way, just look at you on
it
a
looks sick, man. Like,
damn.
it's just, it looks amazing. The art process, like, just going through that, it just makes you like appreciate it so much more, right? Like,
Yep.
and then I think it connects you to the art more too, because you
Mm.
know, like, it takes so much time for Cole to sit down and actually go through every single one of those details, right? Like,
Yeah.
building, deciding the texture of the bag, to, like, putting those little details, like what he's doing right now. He's just putting lighting in. I believe, if I'm my ignorant ass understands anything about art at all. But
I can even see like in the background, right? Like in the stars, the sky, the kind of
the
like the
people,
shade of your Funkari.
yes,
Dude, that's wild.
like,
I also love the particular. I mean, in your box that you can see the Viking helmet from Victor the Viking.
yes.
Also pretty cool. Yeah.
I love that. That looks so sick, man. Appreciate this a lot. Um, I'm sorry to cut this off, Bogan, but I actually have a meeting that I need to attend. So
Yeah, no, go for it. No worries. I mean, I appreciate. Thank you for your time. Like honestly, and everyone else that attended this live stream. Obviously, thank you, Cole, for creating this amazing honorary plushie. I suppose Cole
I
can
love it, man.
right once
Oh,
it.
thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate this a lot. You taking out the time to build this. Like, it looks fucking amazing. I can't wait to put this on my timeline, you know?
Yeah, dude, 100%. And yeah, thank you again for being here with us. I know that you're a busy guy, not just here in Web3, but also Web2. I don't know if people are familiar with that.
Oh yeah, people I don't know, you know,
I
but
don't know how you handle that. Like honestly, like fucking good on you. Like
yeah,
damn.
I'm currently at my job actually, at my Web2 job. This basically my lunch break that I was doing right now. But thank you so much. I really appreciate this a lot. I love the Plooshies fam. Uh, we'll love to do this again someday. But best of luck for you guys to like for the
For sure.
upcoming project, and you know, like you have all of our support, Finkari support.
Thank you, sir. I truly appreciate that. And yeah, without that, yeah, thank you guys. Thanks heaps for your time, and thank you, TMA. I'll catch you in the next one. Next week, I'm not gonna tell you who we'll be bringing, but just wait for that. It's gonna be a banger, in my opinion. And TMA, I'll be in your DMs. Thanks again for your support and from your
Thank you,
community,
thank
and
you
for
so much.
every single one of you guys. Uh, Almost 1,100 people watching this. I know that you guys could have been somewhere else, but you chose to be here with us. So thank you for that. And yep, that's it. That's it for us. And yep, cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.